Yeah, that's in there. Were you there when he said that? Did you read that one?
I'm married.
Well, what did it say?
No, yeah, not again.
No, this is true. This is actually true.
Yeah.
So, Eric, will you understand?
7 more lifetimes you live in that one life of your wife.
Seems like something.
Lifetime will seem like 7. That makes sense.
The look on Eric's face. Reject spiritual training. Next life.
Just let me know. Like, creep over.
Winnie, what? See, Winnie's here? Or Winnie? 4 years. Yeah, she must have so many new Baba stories there to share with us all.
Sure, she conducts a news magazine and this and that. She's in contact with so many psychologists and all that.
That's true.
Yeah, she is herself one.
Oh, that's true.
She's analyzing each one of us.
And can you imagine when I met Winnie just now recently, I mean the other day when Winnie came to a marathon, she reminded me of when we had met in 1978. And we embraced her just the other day, and Winnie grabbed me and hugged me, and she goes, and can you imagine, do you remember in 1978 when I was so worried and scared? And here she's the psychologist and the newspaper editor. I was scared of everything. And she goes, and I was so scared. Remember, you helped me.
What happened? What happened at that time? You were scared of us?
I was scared of not just you.
Everything.
Everybody.
Everything and everybody.
Everything and everybody. I had one gigantic
Come, money, here, come.
anxiety attack.
Anxiety attack?
Anxiety. She was too young for anxiety.
Anxiety. Yeah. And it all had to do with the duty.
Oh, I see.
Yes.
And since then, you've even written about the duty in the news magazine so that everybody who comes here who also has anxiety attacks, we can refer to the news.
That's it.
So how did it change?
I'm sitting in somewhere that is not comfortable.
That's right.
We appreciate it. Sorry, Naira. From Alabama, nail mistake.
Oh, I thought that you want us to get made. You're leaving tomorrow?
Clay?
And there is Clay, and we won't be able to see him before we leave. Tell him. We miss him. Love to him. No, he doesn't. I know that. Okay, now what do you want, money? What do you want us to know?
I want you to do?
Now, what I said that you told me this morning, that remember to read that letter.
Oh, yes.
So, what I say is that there's nobody over here who can read the letter.
I can read it.
Imagine I can read it even without my glasses.
No, Gary is there, who has
Gary?
said that you want to
That's
read
right.
it. Where is Gary, my lord? Gary. he wants to be a guy. Yeah.
Gary.
Most especially because it has something to do with Jeff Law.
Oh.
Well, Cindy, you're permitted to stay if you wish to, otherwise you will.
Gary. Hey, Gary.
Good, I'll stay.
I need to know my face.
How incorrigible is this?
I know. You mean this is a whole letter from someone else about it? Astonishing. Money from the startup to there. Yeah, from the startup.
Is this properly introduced, that it's from Rick and Sharon?
It's from Rick and Sharon's chapter. It's one of the chapters that we hear about the earthquake. In San Francisco.
It's a letter written to Erich on the 24th of October. Dearest Erich, J. Meher Baba, we are writing to let you all know that to the best of our knowledge at this point, everyone in the Baba family in the Bay Area seems to have escaped harm and serious property loss from the violent earthquake which occurred here at 5:04 p.m. on Tuesday, October 17th. Most of the damage from that quake was highly concentrated in a few spots in the greater Bay Area, with the greatest casualties taking place just 3 miles from our home, where a mile-long section of a freeway collapsed. The upper deck upon the lower, trapping and crushing all the vehicles in between. Equally dramatic was the failure of one section of the Bay Bridge, which links Oakland and San Francisco. As your coming copies of news magazines from the West will no doubt show, a 200-ton slab from the upper deck of that bridge simply snapped loose and fell onto the lower deck. The Bay Bridge typically handled 500,000. So you can imagine the difficult traffic logistics these days as people take circuitous alternative routes back and forth to San Francisco. The third most devastated area in the immediate Bay Area was the Marina District of San Francisco, a lovely and expensive residential area near the entrance of the bay with views of the Golden Gate Bridge. Dozens of buildings there either collapsed or have suffered such structural damage as to be declared inhabitable, leaving hundreds homeless and virtually possessionless, while only hours before they had been the envy of many others who lived a life of homelessness or poverty, or perhaps simply wistfulness for bigger and better things. All this less than 24 hours after the 40th anniversary of beloved Baba's New Life inauguration on 16th October 1949. Although the major focus of attention has been on these areas of such enormously dramatic evidence of the earthquake's power, the region which sustained the most widespread damage lay some 60 miles to the south of here, near the epicenter of the quake in Santa Cruz County. In the towns of Watsonville and Santa Cruz, for example, 40 to 50% of downtown buildings were destroyed, and hundreds are homeless. Roads and highways badly damaged, some impassable, and heavy rains which have followed the earthquake have made life all the more miserable for the homeless and the rescuers and workers who are going through the rubble in search of survivors. We have made contact with the Baba lovers we know of in that region. However, such as Madeline Dukas and Om and Tripura Anand, and have discovered that, like those here in the Bay Area, they suffered no injuries nor serious damage. At the moment the earthquake hit, Cheryl and I were at Candlestick Park, along with 62,000 others, waiting for the start of the third game of the World Series of Baseball. Owing to Gary Freeman's involvement in the marketing and advertising work of the San Francisco Giants, we had the opportunity to get tickets for the game, which for the first time ever involved the two teams of the Bay Area, the Oakland Athletics and the San Francisco Giants. Just a little aside, the Oakland Athletics won in 4 games straight. They're baseball fans. To shorten a very long story and to save the details for the next time we have time to chat about it, suffice it to say that the huge stadium shook wildly and reeled like a drunken sailor when the quake struck. But it stood the test. It did not fall. Apart from one man suffering a heart attack and a few persons being struck by falling concrete chunks, no one was injured. I only read them, boys. Besides the ones who died, everyone was okay. The power in the stadium had gone out, however, and as various baseball fans who had brought portable radios and TVs began to report the 6.9 magnitude of the quake and the damage to the Bay Bridge, it became obvious that the show would not go on. We found the Freemans.
No, some of them later said 7.1. Yeah, they've upgraded it.
Upgraded it to first class. We found the Freemans inched out of the parking lot traffic mess and made our way through a darkened, gridlock city over a period of a couple of hours after a candlelight dinner of peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, which had suffered only slight damage. Cheryl and I set out to retrieve our car, which had been parked downtown, and drive home by a roundabout route over the Golden Gate and Richmond bridges. It seemed like wartime, with an entire city in darkness except for the glow of burning homes. 6.5 hours after the quake, we reached our hilltop home to discover that apart from one or two Baba... To discover that apart from one or two Baba photographs which had fallen over in every room, there was virtually no damage. A quick trip to the box, MeherBaba information, revealed the same result and the same pattern. A photograph of beloved Baba in every room, fallen, but never broken. Had apparently absorbed the entire shock to these structures, with countless fragile and precariously placed items remaining serenely in place, seemingly oblivious to the jolt. Today, 1 week after the quake hit, we are carrying on as usual, as is the great majority of the population here, Despite the drama and the $7 to $10 billion of damage, life goes on. Most people carry on because of the highly localized nature of the damage. One thing is different for everyone, however, and that is the impression within which this shrug of the earth's shoulders has created. If only fleetingly for many, everyone in this area has come face to face with his or her own helplessness and fragility, and with the nature of the divine will. What he wills, will do. Absolutely regardless of what anyone thinks or does. Many of us have also seen evidence of our beloved's compassion and divinely perfect caring. No one example will adequately convey such a sense, but so many know within that it was Baba alone who guided, helped, protected, sustained, in short, who had done everything, whatever the loss or absence of loss, for everyone. Surely it is a tiny glimpse of his glorification which has shone through the event, as the world and his lovers come closer and closer to a revelation of His reality. What this paragraph was?
Particles.
Just about Pringles and.
Did they talk
Day before yesterday, while this letter was being read out to me by Divana, he had a letter and there was a knock at the cabin. He said, "Yeah, come inside." So, you know the Mayor Joy, the one who runs Mayor Joy Insta?
Joy Meher.
Joy Meher. And so, sorry to have disturbed you. I brought my mother, who is about to leave. She's an old lady. So no, there's no disturbance. We are just reading about the devastation that has taken place in the States. And, Rick Chapman, what, his letter, I said, yeah. Only 3 miles away from his house, all this happened. This is 3 miles. The devastation took place just 2 feet away from somebody there in Bombay recently. So I said, what happened? When? So, well, it's a long story, just greet my mommy and this and that. I said, but what happened? This is my only son, Danish. He had gone to visit in a big storied building, many stories, and yet gone there to pay a visit to his friend or something. He didn't details in Bombay. And after finishing conversation, whatever work he had to do, he just stepped out of the building. Took 2 steps and the whole building collapsed. So he says, now what do you call that? So all I can say is that beloved Baba be praised. I don't know about what happened with the inmates, but I can say about your Danish being saved. So that's the uncertainty in life these days.
Even Rick and Cheryl being at that game was how many thousands of Japanese?
62,000.
You know, all concentrating on one thing. They're all thinking of the same thing. That's like when Baba said he would do his collective work when everybody was focused on one object, like in the movies or in a cricket game or anything. But here where they all, now they must all have thought the same thought at the same time when this happened. Whatever it was, as they say, who can help you? And then I said, your heart at least must have said, or mind must have said, God help me, God, God, something beyond human help, because what was happening was beyond that. So just imagine when Baba has once said how the whole world, when they call out with one heart, one voice, oh God, help. Then what kind of a thing must have to take place to get the whole world involved and totally, even the thought totally concentrated on God. And that's when His manifestation now. These are just words to us now. We use them because that's the words we read. But the experience is totally different when it will happen. Just imagine. Because see, it was 60. Now, Rick and Cheryl were there and telling us about it. But when so many people have gathered together and they all, that one thought, total focus on something, and then total focus on it all together at the same time, prepared just to call out from within yourself. And then when it took out, the whole world is and sometimes I have thought that maybe that is why there are going to be no archives, no posterity, no archives. And so maybe that is why there are so many mistakes in everything that comes out of our book. There isn't a single book that I can say, okay, this has no mistakes. Even if it's, or any talks that we give, afterwards we say, oh, I said this, but I really meant that, and this here, but, yes. But one thing is sure, where his people are concerned, those who are aware of him, those who are blessed to know of him, know him, he makes it very clear at times like this that I'm the one who did it. Yeah. His signature is very clear and evident. And here when Richard goes from room to room, nothing else moved, nothing else shook, nothing else fell down, Baba's picture down. It's him, his communication, he's saying, hey, that's me, I done it. Who did it? He's not like me, he says, I didn't do it. The divine who done it. Yeah.
You know, Mani, that happened at our house too, that only one Baba picture fell down in our whole house. Neither of us were there. But that happened, and also to Nina. And, yes.
Is that what happened in it?
Well, in our house. We were in San Jose, close to the epicenter of the earthquake. We were stopping to make a phone call to Yvonne Riley, who was going to come. We were planning to come to India. And we needed to stop and make a phone call. And my father, I went to talk to Yvonne, and then he called the house. My parents were visiting us from Florida. And he was going to tell my father how to get to the keys to pick up Jimmy, because we were going to be late. So he was on the phone with my father, and we felt the earthquake first. And I was standing next to him, and all I could think of was the plate Mara had given us for our wedding. And I said, the plate, tell him about the plate, as I was hanging onto the wall. And my dad said, a plate. And he turned around, and the plate was doing a flip like this.
Because it happened first in San Jose before it reached.
Yes, it didn't reach where we were.
A few seconds later.
Yeah, just a few seconds later.
That was the only thing that fell.
That was the only thing that fell.
See his signature.
Yeah. Jeff said also one other thing did fall.
I don't think they all know what happened to you. What were you saying?
He said that one other thing did fall down at our house. I'd forgotten that. It was just a cassette.
Bob Brown.
All right, well, we'll leave it out of the story. It makes it better. Shouldn't mention it.
Do they know what happened to you when you were just singing a song?
God, I thought everybody did.
Yeah.
Well, in brief,
I didn't know.
Okay, all right. Okay, in brief, I was in San Francisco on the fourth story of an old brick building visiting a friend of mine who's a Baba lover, and I had just sat down, just gotten out my guitar, and sung the following lines, which I had been working on. And the lines I had just sung were, "You're the one, you're the one, you're the one who makes my world spin round." Bam!
Just as she finished saying that. And it was kidding.
And it was, well, I don't know about spinning, it sure felt like, because the house was just, it was moving so much that I didn't feel that I could make it 5 feet into the hallway, where my friend had been sitting there closer to the hallway, and so she ran into the hall, and I just sort of dove under a table that was nearby because it was shaking too much to move, to get that far away. So it made quite an impression on us.
Ursula also said she couldn't even walk, but that she and Ed and little Eric, they came out and they sat on the sidewalk, just watched their house just, moving about, and the car jumping up and down, and the street rolling like waves.
Yes.
And a beautiful thing happened because she said that morning, the morning of the quake, Ed decided not to go to work that day. It's something that never happened. He said, never in our household. And also they decided not to send Eric for his karate lesson. And they're usually very strict about it. And so they were all together. Otherwise, I mean, imagine a state of mind, one this end and the other somewhere 100 miles this end, and the phone's not working. He's around. Did
they have pictures fall also at their house? I think maybe they did.
Yeah. But then I didn't give the significance to it because I hadn't heard.
Yeah, right. Yeah. But I think she said that, but I can't remember.
Well, a good explanation of what an earthquake is like is when you're at Samadhi cleaning the tomb and you're shaking out the mats and they ripple like this. Yeah. And that's what everything does. It just ripples.
They said on the news reports that the upper concrete tiers at Candlestick Park were actually waving. Those people who were inside.
Raging people. Undo that.
But they still got the reinforcement.
Oh, yeah, I don't know that story that well. I do know that the chunks of cement, the ones that were mentioned in the letter that fell out, had been specifically designed to fall out, and they did. But they were big chunks.
Sure, those people
they've been designed.
experienced that.
Yeah. It was to give it some give.
Well, 2 years back, the engineer, the earthquake engineer, said it's not safe, so they redid the park.
Right, they had done something recently.
The thing nearest to it that we experienced in the States in 1952 is, thing moving, which you just talked about, was the escalator. It was exciting, but it was also scary. And I remember, I was standing on it, concentrating all on what will happen when we come to the end? That was our question. Will we jump like a gazelle? If we don't jump, will we be sucked in? Or will we be thrown off? First of all, we were at the airport, Idlewild, and as you walked, suddenly these glass doors opened by themselves. We couldn't believe it. That was the first magic we came to. So I quickly ran back so I could do it again. But you felt the royalty, my dear. You just walked through the door and the red carpet. Oh, it was so lovely. But one of the loveliest was, I think it was the Hudson Tunnel we went through, and
the Lincoln Tunnel. Lincoln Tunnel?
Yeah.
Lincoln Tunnel under the Hudson River.
Yeah. And the tunnel itself seemed like pearl, The lighting was so gentle. Such a lovely feeling as we were with Baba going along. One of the dearly remembered things there when we were with Baba in the car was when we were crossing by Tennessee, I believe. And anyway, there are the mountains, and on the rocks, enormous letters. It was written on the rocks in enormous letters, "Jesus is coming." And then we spread out and we looked and said, "Wow, we wanted anything." Jesus is coming. He's coming. And then we go further. He's come. And we said, "Wow." We know that. That's a grand welcome there. So lovely. What disturbed Rana was that when we stopped the car someplace and Baba said, get something to eat, and Baba ordered scrambled eggs or something, and Rana said, "But this is not the place to order scrambled eggs, Baba. It'll be like rubber. Please don't eat the scrambled eggs." She was very agitated about it, to get the right thing for Baba. Oh, it was an adventure right from the start. Can you imagine? We who hadn't stepped out even, we hadn't even seen Ahmednagar. Not the town. No, that's only after Baba started. We really had to look at Ahmednagar town. Except going with Baba from Meherazad to this side, like to see Sarosh, visit him, or to go to Meherbab, or Meherazad Kampan, Adi. We'd never gone into town, not till after Baba dropped his body. And then we were suddenly, out in the world, as it were. And Rano and I would go out in rickshaw to a bang, where a signature was needed in the trust work. It was just awakening. The trust was just waking up. And it was like, wow, this is I couldn't believe it. So how often I closed my eyes because I saw 2 hand carts, rushing towards us. Oh no, we're going to crash. No, it didn't happen. Oh, we saw these donkeys and I thought we're going to hurt them. I think the rickshaw is going straight all the time. So it only took a little while. Afterwards, I was sitting in the rickshaw and we were talking. It's good we weren't smoking. Otherwise, we'd be doing and then, to suddenly here we're going to the States, America, Every time the announcement would be quick, like the new life, we didn't have much advance notice. We didn't have it was actually slowly developing, not at all. It was done and then Baba says, and we're so busy preparing for it, at the same time doing the rest of the things we were doing. And so, Elizabeth was, we were her honored guests. I can only say guests because she saw to everything. We were first class and, so beautiful, she saw to us. And when we were on the plane, Baba said, on the plane, we had no restrictions. Baba released us from restrictions while on the plane. I said, wow, isn't that wonderful? So I said to myself, hey, wait a minute. How can you be free on a plane anyway? Unless you open the porthole and jump out. You're restricted. But then I realized what he meant was you can eat whatever is served to you. No restrictions on meat and fish and things like that. So that was great because that's about all we did on the plane. Every now and then the students would come, very good service. The plane held about 50. It was the biggest plane then. It's a tour plane. And the students would come every now and then and place a cushion on their lap. And then, well, that's a good time, but then what's coming? The tray. The tray. The first time the tray came, I'd never seen a poached egg before. 2 big poached eggs, bigger than any eggs I'd ever seen. They were covered with a white film, and inside you could see the pink yolk. And as I took them, the pinks moved and reminded me of Eddie Cantor. I didn't want to break them open, it says And then in the afternoon, should I tell them, or is it going to be too much for you?
No, continue, because in any case, I won't be able to speak a lot. Rana would see to our paperwork and things with the women in the Shivaka. So she was there, and at one point in the afternoon, I saw the stewardess go by me, and I heard her say something to Rana, and Rana said in a very matter-of-fact way, beer. But that was one of the restrictions released, no doubt. And she said, beer? I said, why? She's going to come next to me. And what am I going to do? I want to have something that I've never had before. Not that I've had much before, but whatever it is, I can boast about it. See, I had such and such, but I couldn't think of a single name. I didn't know what names out there for drinks. And I didn't want beer. Definitely not. I tasted it as a child at my brother's party when you'd won a prize for photography. And it was so bitter. I don't know how I kept up that smile just to show that I can take it. If you can take it, I can take it. So, but no beer. But what am I to ask her? I don't know any name. What am I to do? And before she comes to me, I suddenly remembered that in the detective books that I would read to Baba,
always Archie Goodwin or one of the other, or Kramer, or whoever it was, Stebbins or somebody, they'd always stand by the door jam having a martini. Or whatever that is. That's the only name I know in any case. So when she came to me, she said, and what will you have as a martini? Very blasé. I have it every day. And I said to myself, what's it going to be like? What is it going to look like? What will it taste like? What will it be like? Wow, such excitement. And when it came, I wasn't disappointed. It was a beautiful glass, a crystal kind of clear glass, see? Like this opening. And a thin, long stem. Everything was all right, but when I took it, I saw something green in the center. And I thought, is it a beetle that's dropped in? So I forgot the glass. I said, what's this thing? I said, of course. Later I said to myself, Papa said no restrictions. I could have asked for another, perhaps. I never thought of it. But at least I can boast and say, I've had a martini. Even if it was my first and last.
Did you like it?
I loved it. I wonder if you have your permission. Not only that. When the trays came for lunch, you see, we were in first class, mind you. When the trays came for lunch, I was this side and Mary was here. I didn't know that there was such a thing as being airsick. I knew about seasickness. I didn't know there was such a thing as an airsickness. I did find Kitty going to the other side every now and then, but I thought she was just being restless, or maybe her knees. But Meru, poor dear, started getting it. So all you could see is that she said no, she declined the trays and she didn't want anything. But the tray would pass from under her nose to come to me. And when you're not feeling well, you don't want so much smell. And I didn't know that. In the tray would be champagne bottle. Why? I always wanted to taste champagne. You know, I've read so much about it. Whenever there's a celebration, when a child is born, when there's a wedding, when there's rich people parties, I didn't know there was champagne and champagne. So when I drank this, I was very disappointed. This is champagne. I'd heard about how in France people toasted beauties with champagne in slippers and drank it in slippers to toast them. I said, maybe it tastes better than slippers. This is no good. But at least it's something. So whenever Mary would refuse, I said, don't do that. You take your tray and then pass on to me. What I like from it, I said, remember, Elizabeth has paid for it. All this has been paid for. You know? So we were going on like that. And at last, the stewardess couldn't stand it. She said to her, why, are you sure you don't want anything? And she says, but she said, look at her, pointing to me. She never says no. I says to myself, why should I say no? Elizabeth's paid for all this. She said, all right, yes, what is it you want? And Mary says, hot water. And she couldn't get over it. Because we didn't have a repeat of that. But something very funny happened later. When we got down, and we were in New York, and Elizabeth took us to this beautiful hotel, and we'd been to the Empire State Building, and watched people from up there looking like ants, and that lovely feeling of going up so fast on a lift, you know. And then when it came down, it was very, very exciting. And then Elizabeth wanted to take Baba to an Indian, wanted to take Baba to a Chinese restaurant so that he could have rice, because Baba would like rice for lunch. But the Chinese restaurant was closed on a Sunday, so then she had to take us to an Indian restaurant. I'm so glad she did, because I've never seen anything so Indian in India. It was like a museum. And it was extraordinary. And it was sort of semi-dark. And the pile of the carpet was so deep, you had to walk on it with such difficulty, like climbing a mountain. Once your foot got in it, you had to bring it out with such an effort to take another step. It took us a long time to get to the table. And everything was very ornate. And at the head of the table was enormous oval mirror, the gold frame, and 2 elephant tusks that fitted around it just perfectly. And somehow Rano sat there, you know. Why I mentioned this is this because at one point, you know, Rano could be very formidable for Baba if any work was done. So something had happened and something had displeased Baba, I don't know what. And Baba's eyes were flashing. And he said to Rano, go and tell them such and such. And I'm annoyed about it. Go and tell them. I don't know exactly what it was, but Rana was rushing into the kitchen. Here we were, and Goher was feeling a bit sick after getting down from the plane. So Goher was, you know, just good. Oh, Jay Baba Bear. So Goher was really somewhat by the bathroom, and Rana came back and sat by the mirror, looking like that. And at that time, I saw, and then the waitress came, and she was miserable. You know, she never smiled. I tried very much to look at her every now and then and induce a smile. She wouldn't smile. So she came in with a tray, and she tripped over a pile of carpet. And some of the curry that was in it spilled over, just missed me. This was too much. I couldn't take it anymore. I had to burst out laughing, and I couldn't because Baba was not in the mood. You don't laugh when Baba's serious, and then Rana's looking serious, and Baba looking at, and this miserable waitress almost put the thing on me, and Baba floating off to her. And what I had to do, I got to laugh. So I just dropped a spoon, and I bent down to pick up the spoon, put my head under the tablecloth. It took a long time to retrieve that spoon. Very sick.
So Baba's eaten at an Indian restaurant. Baba ate at an Indian restaurant in New York?
Yes. And you know, there were many nice things in New York. At night time we saw lots of lights. Lovely lights. And not only lights in tubes, but lights in pictures. You know, like there was a kettle that kept pouring tea in a cup, and it kept pouring, and it kept pouring. The cup never filled, never overflowed. Fascinating. And then these 3 sheep that went over a stile and went over a stile and went over a stile. And I still remember for the tea, I thought if we were there long enough, maybe the tea would overflow. And I kept looking back, but it wasn't here. But very, very nice.
Mother, did you see the sign, the blue smoke rings?
Yes. But I know Baba was very particular to take us up to the Empire State Building.
Did you go to the skating rink? The skating rink at Rockefeller Center?
Oh, yes. Yes, that was, imagine, in the middle of a highway, to have this place, and to have flowers growing and things like that. Very, very nice to see. And there was a skating rink, and we stopped by and we could see, going down, the couple skating, and up there was a border, a thick, broad border of tulips. They were all yellow, like sunshine, beautiful. Not one was different from the other, as if they'd been ordered to grow in perfect size and shape. And we learned that the Queen of Holland was coming for a visit, and it was in her honor that the tulips, because that's a national flower there, isn't it? Yes. Oh, lovely, yes.
So what news, Bill?
Yeah.
What shall we tell of it?
Of yourself, he means. How are you?
Everything's fine. The whole family's well.
Is
They all seem lovely.
Ivan here?
Ivan's here somewhere.
Who else? Who feels?
Only Ivan and myself.
Came straight or have you been to Delhi?
I went to go. Did some business. And then thankfully she said, right, that's it, finished. now I'm here.
You'll be here for some weeks actually. Huh?
9 days.
9 days. Well, it's a more than a week. It's all right. It's possible.
God took less than that time to make the world. That's what...
Mani, you would have been fascinated today. You were talking about certain things that fascinated you. I got fascinated today. You know, this morning DSP had come here.
Yes.
His wife. So he had brought his new car without any number plates or anything. The lawmakers have come like. And of course I received them. I did not know who he was when he introduced himself. It's just that this is the first trip his wife is learning, so he thought that it is auspicious that if she were to drive both of them to Baba's place and all. So that was fine. And we chatted and we took him here and there, and one took him halfway up the hill and everything, and then he said, okay, now we have to leave. I completely forgot about some engagement and all that. So okay, I'll come again on some Saturday or Friday, Sunday. I said, you come, you're welcome and all that. And Jai Baba and all that. And wife has again started to drive the car. She's nervous, she's new.
She's nervous, he should be nervous.
No, she is nervous because we are all strangers around her. So she, of course, put the switch on. It's new Maruti car, small car. And all of a sudden, both are seated inside. Loud voice. Attention, attention. The car is reversing. The voice was so loud that I think you came.
I came running out because I hear this voice that doesn't, it doesn't sound like Eruch, it doesn't sound like marijuana, it doesn't sound like anyone who's actually there. It sounds like a voice from the sky, and it's going, attention please, attention please. I come running out. What is this? What's happened?
So the thing is that it is a gadget now they have created with the reverse gear. Reverse gear, they start speaking like that.
So that car's behind, we'll know that the car's behind.
Those people or something.
It's for other motorists and those around to realize the car's going to reverse.
But did you all hear of that? Is it in vogue in the States?
They have voices that come on and say, your seatbelt is not fastened, your door is open.
But they don't have anything that you can hear outside.
No,
this was loud.
This is a loud voice.
It was very loud.
Attention, please.
Was this an Indian car?
Everything has to be loud enough.
It was so loud. I was at Eruch's cabin, and Marijuana and Eruch had gone out in front of the dispensary where the car was parked. And I hear this booming voice going, attention.
But then the one I had heard before was when they got their car, that Christmas song plays. What is it?
Oh, yeah,
Loud
White Christmas.
Jingle bells or something. When they back up Indian cars, jingle bells plays. You can hear it loud. I've heard that before.
No, but I thought that this was a good thing. I liked it. It's novel. I've never heard it before. But I like
English,
it.
it doesn't make sense. Huh? Nobody's going to understand the English.
There are people here.
Yeah.
Most probably they can change the language according to the crowd.
But you know, Eruch in the States, when I was living there, it had just come into vogue, so now everyone here must be used to it. But the police on the freeway started using real loud intercom and speakers so that when someone was speeding, rather than, turn on their lights and just catch up with them, and the people would see the lights coming and the police coming, instead, there would be from far back, before they could really know that the police were there because of the radar, you would hear, and it would be this huge booming voice saying, car with license plate number such and such, move to the left, or
move, to the right, to stop. And what happened was people were so unused to hearing a voice coming from the skies that at first it caused a number of accidents because people would hear this and they would just pull over. Yeah, be so afraid.
I wish we had something like that in 1943. Because that's the time when I got my car driving license. That's one of the exciting things too. And Elizabeth had taught me how to drive. And it's amazing her method of teaching was so acceptable, so satisfactory, so unique in the sense that she talked about a car as if it were a living thing, So when she taught me the mechanism of the car first, what makes it run, what is in it, what is the heart, like you would have an anatomy of a person. The anatomy of the car was shown to me so beautifully that it struck. But to make it short, while she was teaching me, I was much better at reverse than forward. Talking of reverse, no voice that says it's reverse. And so one day she said to me, well, Manny dear, you have to go forward sometime. So then, after it was done, Elizabeth had to go to the States. Baba sent her to the States for some work, and they had to leave at that time, in 43, Elizabeth and Marina. And Kitty and Ronald, the others were with us at first, Margaret. So then I had to go and have my license. Driving license. See? And everybody said to Baba, oh, that man, that Englishman, because we were in the English, during the English regime, it's 43, and he's very strict. He just will not give anybody a driving license, but unless he's absolutely thoroughly satisfied, and he's so strict. So Baba said, send a telegram to Satara and or Nasik, wherever Ramju was. Call Ramju over. Ramju knows this thing, and if Ramju's with her, that will help, And so, and everybody was encouraging. My sisters were dressing me up. Somebody loaning me a good kerchief, another was good socks, and Irani was doing this, and Mara was doing that, and they all got me ready to go in the car. Now I'm having a driving license, driving in a strange car, a hired car. And that Indian man was very nervous about my being in the car and driving, whatever it is. So while I was behind the wheel, he would keep shouting at me, there's such and such in the way, this is happening. So once he said, Haran, Haran. Now Haran means a deer. And I looked right at it, I was very interested, I couldn't see a deer. And suddenly realized he was saying, horn, horn. So he did, Haran, Haran. Anyway, Ramju had not made it. I think Baba had 3 telegrams sent one after another. Why have you started? Ramju? But I went by myself with the driver to the place where the driving license given, that we had. And there I saw this Englishman, very stern, very straight. He came over to my car where I was, and he was so tall, I had to put my head out of the car and look at him like that. And I agreed to myself. And he said, do you see those 2 trees back there? The back place. And there, quite some distance away, were 2 straight trees, like pine, and they were just away from each other for a single car to pass. They were apart only to that apart so that a single car could pass. So do you see those 2 trees up down there? And I said, yes, sir. Well, take it in reverse, take the car in reverse and go through it and come back here. Wow! I said, yes, sir. Put it in reverse. He looked so surprised. I've never seen so much surprise on her face. An Englishman doesn't show it, but it showed on his face. And that was it. He didn't give me any further test. Just went to sign the license. I drove back. And just as I was going in, a messenger comes somebody says, Ramju is here. Too late. I'm so happy he hadn't come before. And I give Baba the license. I said, Baba, here's the driving license. Got it? Good. Talking of reverse, but he said, reminded me how good I was at reverse.
Did you ever drive?
Yes. I took Kitty. I think it's in Mara's book somewhere. I took Kitty driving the car. I knew she's always a very brave person. I took her to this English lady in a little.
You drive Baba. You didn't.
No.
You didn't want to go backwards. That's all.
That's it. She even let me get so familiar with the car and like a person that I knew then, I've forgotten now, that it's better for the front wheels to get stuck somewhere rather than the back, because the back are the ones that pull out, whereas if the back tires were stuck in the mud, the front wheels would not be able to pull them out, and things like that. I'm not quite sure how, but she's amazing.
She was a good driver.
Oh. But once she got jittery, I remember that. And she must have thought she's back in America. Because as we were driving, there's a motorcycle came from far. And she must have thought of state troopers and things. She said, hey, let's stop. And I said, well, what? She said, they're coming from the back. And it was just a motorcycle, somebody going fast. And just went past. In India, you don't have that.
No, you don't, do you?
Wonderful.
I think if they make you take the driving test and you have to see if there's any, identify the road signs and all, but then when you go out driving in India, there are no road signs.
Of course, it gave me a lot of Elizabeth's company. I mean, for me, maybe one of the things was that. She's such a...
You think that's also the other way around?
Yeah. The very first time when we saw Elizabeth in Kandivli, 1932, early 30s, in Bombay, when the first group and that come, and we had gone from Nasik there. We were all told to dress up very well, and I still remember. I mean, you could tell from Elizabeth's wrists that she must be a driver. And she said, when I asked her that, she said, yes, she used to drive the ambulance in the First World War. And that was lovely too. They all had come with they had the realization dresses with them. What were those? And Kitty still had her realization dress when she came and stayed with us all those years. And one day, can you imagine what use that was put to that dress? One day when we wanted to entertain Baba, and I wanted her to be a prima donna, and adding a pillow inside here a bit and there, and I would play the gramophone outside of this operatic voice. And Kitty had to make me sign. And so she and she did it. And she said, I've got just the dress. And she washed her hands, which had been peeling garlic and cutting onions, working in the kitchen. And she came straight into her room. She opened this piano liner trunk that they had brought with them, opened it, and with her head down, flinging all her clothes out, she came to this beautiful sort of orangish-red velvet gown, which she had chosen for her realization dress. What is this? Did you know Baba had said that he would break his silence in the Hollywood Bowl and they would have all be realized? I still remember Noreena's very elegant, beautiful gray silk of a particular kind, with about at least 200 buttons at the back, down the back, tiny back. And Kitty used that, and she used that to Baba. Oh, hasn't Kitty told you all that?
No.
Oh, this is great. You must ask them. And Minta, you see how each one's personality was reflected in the choice of the dress that they would make for the most important event in their life, as far as they understood. It's not that they wanted it. Baba, how Baba would do, no, that's okay, so they'd go along. And Minta had these many colored, striped kind of a silk. I remember Minta's, I remember Narina's and Kitty's.
Did Elizabeth fall for that too?
I don't recall. It's not a question of or it's a question of going along. As Baba would tell us, when I say something, then you must believe it wholeheartedly. So even, for instance, like in MeherBabaLibrary, because I do my work through that, and I can only do it with your total belief in it, your total acceptance of it. So even say Baba had a place built in MeherBabaLibrary and then just demolished after a while. And then when it happens about 2-3 times in a year or so, you're not that keen and wholeheartedly going wrong into the next structure. And Baba said, no, each time it was great. So what Baba did was they went on perfectly, beautifully. That helped. But Kitty was like that. She would come straight from the kitchen and dive into whatever project you had in mind and you were interested in. Her brother, Herbert, was in India, stationed somewhere in India for a while, and he would write to Kitty, who was with us in the ashram, and say, you know how it is in the ashram, that nobody handles money, it's a totally different kind of life. And but she would ask, is there anything I can send you? So instead of asking for something for herself, or something that she would like, I still remember, she would say, now what would Mary like? I know she likes his garden. So she asked for a wheelbarrow. I don't know what the man thought about it. But her brother sent the wheelbarrow, which we still have, and which we use for the garden. Another time she sent them trees. I don't know how they came. I don't know what happened. They were suckling, and then she even wrote to him about, she would write the news, but there were Kittyisms which we would never have known of had Herbert not written. And she was talking about, instead of saying buffalo's milk and buffalo's butter, she said, oh, we have Bullock's butter here, And he wrote back, and that's extraordinary. He said, I've been in India for so long, but I had no idea. That wheelbarrow was used for picking up rocks around here. When we used to go for walks with Baba around here in Maryland. So, first day, we would pick up in the park, in the dry river bed, towards Seclusion Hill, around Seclusion Hill, towards the left of Seclusion Hill. We have these different walks with Baba every morning. So, look at this stone! Wow, what color! And a beautiful stone. We would show each other. We would first show Baba. Baba would pick it in his hand, and then he would pick up another after and say, look at mine. And this would go on all during our walk, during the exchanging rocks that we were showing each other. So we bring them home the first day. The first day we brought them in our hands. 2 days later we were bringing them in our skirts. But even that wasn't enough. So we decided we'd take the wheelbarrow. But I had no idea wheelbarrow is so difficult to wheel. Not a wheelbarrow. Oh my goodness, you really have to balance a wheelbarrow. And so first I said, no, I'll handle the wheelbarrow. Next day, I wish I hadn't said that, hoping for somebody. So we would bring these stones stashed by Baba by the wheelbarrow full, and we would come and put them in the garden here. That was just before Mehrazad name was given, before the extension was built. It was small before that, the structure. The upstairs and Baba's big room. All this wasn't until 1948. Yeah. So we had at that time then had to leave the stones and rocks and everything here. We had to go and stay for a while at Dr. Gomez's parents' place. They had to move out, so Baba and we could stay there. And until this was being completed, Sarosh, Kaka, and all of them were seeing to it. When we came back here, we couldn't find the stones. Mara was looking for them, I was looking for them. I said, Mary, she said, no, that's just exactly, because we had such plans, we would make it a rookery, and then we'd have these stones around the tree bed and the flower bed. Gone! Beautiful stone. So then, we were too busy to try to find out, but after a few days we found out that, the builders, in Baba's room, for instance, was extended as a whole, practically the whole room, and they put it in the foundation. And they put the foundation of the dining room, they put it in the foundation of the sitting room. I'm so mad, you know. How could, suddenly I realized I should be happy. The stones that Baba has touched are the ones that are in the foundation. It's the house that Baba built. You know, like, it's lovely. So pity, even Mara's interested in the garden, I'm interested in crosswords, so-and-so's interested. No matter how busy she was, and she would be doing concerts for Baba, she would wholeheartedly fund it. Amazing.
Still like that. She has so much energy.
Yeah, energy and a selfless nature. Yes. But there's one thing we also learned. If she was feeling cold, sitting out, she said, "Mommy, I think I'll get you a shawl." Or sometimes I said, "I think I'm tired now. I think you need to rest." I said, "You need to go to bed."
It's 1:15. So those who would like to go to Baba's room.
You see, I can't see I forget that there's a film here too. But I'm so used to seeing that one. Anyway, that's the one Baba used to see. Yeah? I don't remember yet. What is it?
So
They went up the hill to see.
Nice place. Good view.
you went with the kids also? Daily.
So they were the guides, they followed the white rocks.
Kids always they are ahead of us along the right.
So where is the person who has got the fish?
She must
Why
have
are you
got some of
hiding?
the answer. That's why she's.
Why are you hiding?
No, I was not hiding. Yes,
Why?
You got some books from the library?
I will make it some open section. Beginning of the insights, the garment.
At Miracle, there is that library.
Yeah.
You can go in and read.
You know, at the hill, there were two cabins on the hill. Yeah.
There were.
They're not there now. But have you seen the photos, the pictures of Baba with the cabins? There is one here. But
Yeah, I
then
should.
And
on your door, I'll show you.
Later on, how it was. Well, the cabins were there. Formerly there were no cabins. But then Baba used to go there at any odd time, stay there for some days. No, we will be going with 3 or 4 of us. We have to be there with him. So he would go and do his work, whatever work. Our duty was to see that he is not disturbed. So we have to keep guard. No shepherd should go up, no sheep should go up, and all of that. Cattle, stray cattle, so forth. So that's how it was. But then in the beginning it was just for a few hours we'd go. At odd intervals of days we'd go. But then later on it happened that we'd go there for a whole day and stay overnight. That's it. Then it happened that we went and stayed there for 2-3 days. At the time the climatic conditions had changed. It was not good for him to be open there like that. So we suggested that should we have some hut there for you if you want to come here every now and again. Should we have 2, one for my rest in the night and one for my work in the daytime. That's how the people made out of asbestos sheets. A simple thing.
What happened to them later?
These 2 cabins were right on the top of it. Number 2. To erect them was a problem because the hill didn't belong to us. The government land. And so Sarosh being called the uncrowned king of Ahmednagar, he approached the governor, the collector of this place. Well, the law of the land is such that hills cannot belong to anybody. What should I do? You wanted for spiritual reasons and all that. You know, sir, I approached the government of Bombay. At that time, Sir Sarosh and the others, they approached the governor, and the governor said that it's not in my hands, you can't change it. It is in the hands of exceptional cases only Viceroy General of India can do. So our chapter went right up there, and eventually we did get permission for 2 plots. Approximately 15 by 15. Right on the top of the hill and one lower. You'll see that there's a top there and ledge there. That's how it happened. So when we got the permission was not to own it. It was leased out for 999 years. That's how, and who should own it? And I think Sarosh was the one who had to, we don't own it. So it was there. So with that lease that we had, actually the huts were built. So the cabins we used to call them. That's how Baba went and started doing his work, and we used to be there. And we could not stay under that. So eventually Baba permitted us to have our own tent. We had a camping tent, all the 4 of us who were there. That's how in between the 2 cabins we pitched our tent. We would be there in the daytime or night time under the heat of sun or while the rain is pouring and all. That's how we pulled off for years. Then in 1949 we left the place. This was there for 3 years, 3.5 years, the cabin was there. In 1949, Baba went out in New Life. You heard about the New Life the other day. We left everything. We went out, Baba told us to go out, begging and all that. We followed him and we went out. Everything was abandoned. Funny thing is that Baba allowed 1948 the structure to be built, to house the number of ladies that were there. Normally they were all herded together in that small cottage. Now as the inmates expanded, Baba said, all right, Sarosh said, can we build it? Yeah, build it. They felt so happy. Now we can rest. Within a year, Baba said, no, we have to keep that. In 1949 it was abandoned. Then what happened? For 2.5 years, of course, we wandered all over the places. One day we were on the road that comes from Ahmednagar to Aurangabad. From a distance, Baba sees those 2 cabins. He says, the cabins are still there. So one who was taking care. This place was given in charge, gifted to Mandali. I know what you heard. Lower MeherBabaLibrary was gifted to MeherBabaLibrary. Upper MeherBabaLibrary was gifted to Sir. So, we're taking care of Baba. Come on, let's go and rest. So we cut across the country and went up this hill and stayed. For about a week we stayed there, and then he said, now I want to continue with the work, so I want the 2 cabins to be brought down. So while the cabins were being dismantled by us, Baba stayed there in the open. They were brought down and erected into one cabin. He wanted to join 2 cabins and make one bigger one. The bigger one is here. It's just behind this house. So that happened in 1954. That's how it was. Since then it is known as the Manonash cabin. Because that was the last phase in new life that he was involved in. And afterwards, especially then, in 1952, so many times.
Could you describe some of the Manonash work Jessawala did in that cabin?
Well, the only thing that I can visualize what he must be dealing with, of course it was behind closed doors, but we had to make arrangements. I had to dust the cabin every day and do this and that, and he'd be inside there sitting. So all that I could see, he continued the work inside the cabin, but he began the work there. There was at Hyderabad, in a cave. So that's where on 16th October 1951 we began his Manonash cave. And what he told us was, prior to that we did not know what it was meant for, but before we set out for new life, he told me to write a letter to one of his lovers in Agra to send him models of church, Christian church, Hindu temple, Buddhist pagoda, Muslim, mosque, Zoroastrian urn of fire and all that. He wanted it, so what? So I wrote a letter and they sent it. Before we went out in Europe, they did arrive, all marble. So he said, but these things have arrived. And they looked really beautiful because they were all connected with the bulbs and all that. So I was going to leave aside all that battery thing. I want just the images that are there. So what to do? So take these on, something to do in new life. That's how we carried these in France, back in France, street France all the time. Throughout our new life. Till such time was the heaviest thing that we had, the world. That's how on 15th October 1951, Baba said, prior to that, of course, he told me to find out a suitable place where he could commence the Manonash work. And he gave his choices and this and that. So that was the place that I found out. That it was situated on a hill, it should have a spiritual atmosphere, because there was the same what we call tomb in Muslim state. It is not too far from the city, not too close to the city. It should be a segregated place, because it was in the midst of a forest. So the only handicap was there is no water. And there should be a cave also. So in the Irani, there was a cave. I did have, but I told him that there is no water. No water. There is no water, not a drop of water. He said, yeah, there is a sort of a cavity in the big rock. There is no blade of grass on that. It was like a huge football. The hill is like a football. Soccer ball. And not a blade of grass. So in that there is a cavity, I said, about 10 feet by 10 feet, and you have to hold there. And there is a stagnant water from the rain. There is water there. That we have to drink. So what? Why not? So that's how we stayed there. We liked the place. On 15th, Baba told us to take that heavy trunk and all that. He told me to take it in the car. So I taken it, and that's where that car misbehaved. That erratic behavior of the car, car went in the reverse and jumped and here and there. There was no earthquake on it. So that's how it was. 16th Baba, the same car Baba drove in on 16th, and we started with that. It was we were there for quite some time, and then we started practicing and again came and started walking all the way. And then we came up there again, made a rope now on the cabin there. And then we again ended the way.
How does that work relate to where he burned up all the...
What I don't know. What happened is, what I saw him do was, I know one thing, because he would make me arrange a chair. Nice chair there, easy chair, not too easy, but it was a nice chair, comfortable chair. And there are shelves there. On the shelves I have to just arrange them and like on the wall. He said, be careful. He said, no. And he said, now you can go. I'll shut the door and sit outside. I don't know what to do. You must be gazing at them or whatever, I don't know. And after a while, after a few hours, 3 hours, I go to take some water, but on the last day, when he told me, when he called me, he said, my work, Narana's work is completed, my entire satisfaction. I said, he did that. He gets me a piece of paper. So I got a piece of paper and pen, and he made me write down that all rites, rituals and ceremonies, to the effect I'm saying, I can't say everything. All rites, rituals and ceremonies of all world religions are hereby consumed in fire. I wrote that and gave it to him. Made me read out, he himself read it, put it in his pocket. That was in the morning. And then later on, at dusk time, he made us dig a pit just behind the cabin. Then asked us to lit the fire. Called all the rest of the money who were segregated from his Manana's group. 4 of us were with him in Manana. Vaidu, myself, Gustav, and Bill. 4 of us gathered together around him. And the rest was segregated by partitions. They all did well. There's nothing to do with them. And they were also called to join. And there is a prayer. There is this prayer, printed there. Baba made me did that, and I read it out. And then Baba took it to the paper and read the sign. Then Baba put that in the sign. That's all. And then that ash was collected by his own hand, with his own hand, packed properly in the canister. And they said, Baba ordered us not, no human being should use this. That's how they are kept separate. They are at MeherBabaLibrary.
So now it's 1 o'clock. And everyone should go and have their lunch now. And then afterwards, if you want, I can get them a prayer. This up is back there.
Yeah. No,
give it to Bill.
Hello, Ivan. Hello, Ivan. Hello, Ivan.
Galipalli. Challaya Galipalli. Malla Yalla. Mallayaga.
Oh, Mayala Ya Ga. But isn't that an ah?
Now let's work this out properly.
To Baba. The bearer of this letter is his son, who comes to be has become an ardent devotee to Baba, and he is entirely engaged in constructing a Baba center at their village. They do not have any sum of livelihood, yet they provide. They do not really have some livelihood, yet they provide food to those who are working for Baba's center. They also labor physically along with all the workers. They left everything to Baba's will. This boy intends to join army. Soon after the center is complete. He has taken a vow before planning for the construction of Baba's center at their village to make pilgrimage to MeherBabaLibrary on his bicycle on a distance of 850 kilometers one way. He came on his bicycle because he is a new lover who speaks very little and shy of everyone himself. I have given this letter. Please give your advice in Baba's love so that his conviction is further strengthened. My Jai Baba to all Mandali, yours in Baba, Brother Kotaya. Kotaya?
No.
Kistaya? Rama Kistaya. Krishnaya. Rama Krishnaya.
Is the Ramakrishna is the one who had come here?
Yeah.
Yes, he told
the story.
So the story is of his father. His father was the one who used to drink a lot and he was the minister in the village.
Yeah.
And then people disliked him because he used to say things spiritual and at the same time he used to indulge in wine and drinks and all that. So when he came to another center there was a guru guy. He was explaining that and put the street there not to drink. As usual, human frailties are there. Next day he started.
I love the way the one who was recounting the incident said, when he put in the street, wanting to be rid of his weakness, which was a drink. He was a drunkard, he was an alcoholic, and he wanted to give that up in the beginning. But he said he did not keep it up by putting his efforts in it. You have to strive for that too. Strive to get rid of that. While you ask Baba to take it away, at the same time you have to strive. And when he went back, he could not do it. And so he took a drink. But what happened then, it became so dreadfully, horribly ill. At the time he was feeling that he was choking, he was dying. He thought his last moment had come. It was a horrible experience he was going through. This terrible thing. And he said, well, this is my last moment. And he said, Baba, please give me one chance. Just one chance. One more chance and by your grace I will do it. And he immediately, when he promised Baba, he immediately felt better. Feeling normal. Never once had he felt bad like that. Never. He always enjoyed his experience of drinking. And he was an addict and that he couldn't live without it. But that horrible experience just once made him say, Baba, I want it. And then he didn't. Got well and he kept his promise, he kept his pledge. And because of that, all the other villagers said, wow, this MeherBaba must be someone really wonderful. Because look what he's done to our drunkard. He's changed him to a sober man, to a normal person. One was, because he also had very good qualities. He was a conscientious person, he liked honoring his commitments, everybody wanted to look up to him.
He was the spiritual teacher of the village.
Yeah, and he was a spiritual teacher of the villages. Everybody was depending on him and counting on him. But little by little they had shrunk away from him because of this terrible habit that he had, which in turn caused a lot of other things. But now when this whole turn came, it changed, and he changed his fine person again. So many became Baba lovers. So that this whole village there, that area, that part is just one big Baba family.
Later on.
So then they started building a center for Baba. At night time, after their duties are done, you see, they all have their farms, they have their work very much in the farm. They also do other labor too in between. So they themselves donate to the plot, they themselves are giving a labor, and other people, outside people, find it difficult to believe that such a change could happen, that that these people are really working only for the sake of giving, that they're not, haven't got any vested interest in what they're doing. There must be a catch in it somewhere. So there were other people who came out and they were trying to pick holes in it and harass them to some, but they themselves got converted and said, my God, this is something new. This is something we have not experienced. So that more and more are coming to Baba. So this was his father that the story was about. And funny part is, this morning, when the family was here on the veranda, just before lunch, I was telling the story, not knowing he is related so closely to the man.
He didn't tell you?
I introduced it while coming.
Yeah, introduced, yes.
He came by bike, what I told you.
That much right.
This was enough.
But how will you go back? On cycle?
Baba brought him.
Paul Williamson was
He planned for 8 days to travel, but he came within 6 days. On an old bike without any change in the price, old types he brought. Nowhere trouble.
No puncture.
All the 800 kilometers.
No trouble, one puncture, but I will.
Without any putting puncture, he came by just putting some air he used to come.
But
that was it?
180 kilometers or 180, 140, 140, 11.
Per day,
100.
first day 100 kilometers he traveled. Second day 140.
Second day 140. Third day 180. Fourth day 180.
So increased like that.
Next last 100.
100. He reached the goal. He should have come on 5th as per his plan. Per day 100 kilometers like that he thought. But Baba brought him early.
Oh, money. They're on the veranda.
It was easier for one person to go than 50. Sorry.
But you know, he should meet Paul Williams.
Yeah, that's
because
right.
talking of cycles.
You know, now that also at Amar Tithi time, the volunteers, Baba workers, are coming on bicycles.
Yes.
To power places.
From Kankal and all those places.
Huh?
From Kankal.
Kankal.
But there is one person who has come from the States, by name Paul Williams. He has come from Europe on cycle.
But he had one of those racing cycles, good cycles. He did not come from there for Baba. That's the difference.
But he did not come for Baba.
He came finally in 69.
No, not that. Now only last year he arrived here. And he is here. That's why that Paul Williams, Manibhai said that he should be introduced to Paul Williams. His name is Paul. He's at MeherBabaLibrary now. He was to come here today. He might come tomorrow.
He just came and then he fell in love with Baba. He stayed on here. He went home. He came back again. Now he's going to be a woman.
His journey completed. He says his village is the most troublesome village, all politics and everything. In spite of that, their village, what he was telling me, most troublesome village.
In spite of it all, hearts are...
Everything will be... In such a place, Baba started this work. To purify their hearts. In Andhra, that the village for murders and all those things, those very famous. Anantapur, Kadapa, those districts are always daily 2 or 3 murders will be there. Like that, such a notorious type of samskaras are there in those areas. Baba started his work now in the middle of that district.
We have seen that from the very first when Baba settled in Arangam of all villages.
Arangam.
We said Baba had to go quick Arangam.
sort of changing the subject, I suppose, but I wanted to make sure I told you this story. You may have already heard it, but when the film, Irwin's film, opened in Morton, Virginia, it was at the Narrow Theater, which is an old, beautiful, old revival theater. And you probably saw a photo of the marquee. Yes. Yes. Well, first of all, this was all pointed out by Al Grasso, who lives in Washington. Oh, yes.
Al Grasso,
Yes. Yeah. But Al pointed out to us that, first of all, Narrow, which was the name of the theater, N-A-R-O, means to speak. In Latin, I suppose, to narrate means to speak. And then the other one was that the marquee read, there was a 1 for the other movie, which was Vincent, about Vincent van Gogh. And if you look at the picture of the marquee, it says 1, and there's no dot, and then it says V-I-N, and then there's a little space, and it says C-E-N-T. And then underneath that, there's a 2 without a dot, MeherBaba, and it reads, I've been sent to MeherBaba. I've been sent to MeherBaba. I know he puts his signature, he tucks his signature here and there, and then it comes out. Wow, this is wow.
I called them to the veranda, and then I can't come over that.
Good job.
So you'll be coming for the Amarti people?
Yes, I will come.
Good. How's it? You're coming? No, I'm gone now. Raghavan, the wedding at Raghavan's place?
Yes, that's it.
Yeah. We have already sent the invitation, reply to the invitation. Have you posted it? Or we can give it to him? No, but don't bother. We already put the stamp. Why should we bother? Sarvara is coming? Sarva in Telugu means all. So all Raos put together are in him. ચાલો રૂસાના કે બોલો ને તમે લોકો આપણે શું બોલવાનું છે પૂછો ને હા છે નામ જ ભૂલી જાઉં છું શું નામ છે તારું કનાજ
Eruch was born in 1969. Tanaz was telling me, November 1969. She was saying, all this that had happened, I wasn't even alive.
She was, at the time, she was crying and weeping and troubling her mother. And now see how she is. So Diana, what are the questions? This is your first time you're coming, said now.
Yes.
Come. By the way, do you remember who had come from Nepal? There were teachers, were the husband and wife were teachers?
Yes. That was Susan.
Yes,
Susan Adam and her husband.
And her husband.
And their child Sage. They taught at the American school in Nepal. Susan Adam and her husband. His first name I don't recall. They were teaching in Kathmandu.
There are many schools.
Is there an American school?
Are they still there?
No, now I believe they've gone back to the States and are living in actually Berkeley, California, aren't they? They had.
Where are they?
She's in Berkeley around here.
So they were there. So you're going to teach up there?
Yes. I'm on a project overseas. A project overseas, which is sponsored by the Canadian Teachers Federation. This is the third time that I have gone on an assignment like this. I was in Africa again and last summer. But the Nepal assignment is particularly intriguing for me, and I'm looking forward to it very much. I'll be working with Tibetan teachers, teaching them English as a second language methodology.
And how important for you?
I met a friend, Mark, who's just behind me.
Just 3 weeks ago in Thailand. You'll be here and then you go to Nepal.
Yes, my assignment in Nepal starts in January.
So you're going from here to Nepal or in January?
I will go travel to Delhi, I think probably by train, and then fly into Kathmandu.
I thought that you were going back to the States.
I'm on a year's journey, Eric.
Oh, years, yes.
Yes.
Good. You call it a year's journey, you call it a journey beyond. You're on a journey too?
Yes, I know that.
Yeah.
I'm sure that I will have many questions as I know today and maybe over the next few days. I
have no reservations. Whenever you have questions, you ask. Don't hesitate. This is the place where Baba stayed whenever he was not cured. Formerly he was at MeherBabaLibrary. Are you putting out MeherBabaLibrary?
Yes.
That's the place called MeherBabaLibrary. That's the headquarters in the college of MeherBabaLibrary in the early years. MeherBabaLibrary. Abad means flourishing, developing. Named after him. He named the place as MeherBabaLibrary.
Means developing.
Developing, flourishing. Yeah. Good. And then, in the year 1943, he came to this place. And what? Some excuse he had to come over here. And he wanted that there should be a place with more water, there should be a hill nearby, not too far from the town, not too close to the town. So in 1943, this place was being auctioned for 500 rupees. Baba followers from the east side. And that's how from 1943 onwards we were here.
How many of the Mandali did you have?
There were quite a few, but now, not by hand, but she was a fingerful. There are about 4 of them. 6 years. Mandali is very good thing. Whosoever lives with them is also known as Mandali. But then Baba said, in order trying to shave off our egos. You always wanted us to have clean hair. That's the sign of agency. So he would always say, well, Baba, your Mandi, how fortunate they are, and we are at some other place at distance around the person. Who is my Mandi? What do you mean by that? Mandi is he or she. He loves me and he gives me, carrying out all my life. And whatever you do, you are Mandi. The general understanding is that those who live with me and one of them. So we don't have any rubber stamp on it. It's not that we are the Mandi. So that's the thing. So we have been with it for many years.
Do you have any advice on discerning how one discerns what his orders are?
Well, he says if you say discern, which is a really very deep penetrating word. You use the word discern, that's you have that. His orders are already given. And he continues. There is a gathering. Always go on thinking. That's not the way that I should have done. Now they said that 10 commandments were given. More really says so. Mount Sinai. We need to say that God is not the job that come to that particular spot and throw tablets there on his lap. He was revealed with the 10 commandments that he had given are already given to you from time and human being is there. It's there inscribed. Tablets are within our hearts, which always testify to what pleases him and what displeases him. Provided you are able to pay attention, provided that you have a discerning eye for it. But in general, yes, as usual, first and foremost, his message is love God. Love me, God and God. I am the same ancient one coming once, bringing to you the same ancient message, love God. And then the most ancient, love me. Live like a friend. Remain humble. Now we are free. That is a good thought. Millennia after millennia we have been dwelling at erasing at dwelling and erasing and when you get to the message called the universal establishment,
yes, I'm going to indicate her. Yeah, it is a message.
There is a message in the universal establishment. Research time and again have been giving these words. Mankind has made a mockery of the words that are they know not how to live them. In order to awaken, words have been given now that he starts so that the heart will awaken the revelation.
The words are not always easy to understand and get, and I think it is the opening of the heart.
Yeah, that's the thing. Baba was always would speak, he sing a lot in the early years. He observed silence until July 1985. Would speak incessantly. People coming and then were very lively and humorous and young and very active and agile. And those come from different places, from far off villages and towns, and come sit down here. You sing, you talk, you tell the story, you want it. Nice fast and quiet place. At that time, Myanmar was so quiet. Whole topography has changed. No building, nothing that connected Myanmar province. All topography, calm and peace. There were people of lonely and steady there. I still remember in my early days, I having walked in the idea very beautiful and far. So,
I'm used to that kind of environment in Canada.
Canada? Where do you come from Canada?
Yes. I live and work in the Toronto area, but I have a place in the northern woods, a nice cabin in the bush on a lake, which is very quiet and very beautiful.
That's the universal message I think.
So what happened is that he was telling as the day was nearing, means July was nearing, Baba told me, persons were gathered there. Hear me, listen properly. Very soon I'm going to observe silence. And this man, this person, never observe silence, he can never keep his mouth shut. And again, after some weeks, he said, can you listen? You won't be able to hear me very soon. I'm going to observe silence. Third time, he said, somebody piped he said, then who is going to teach us? I have not come. That was God's statement about it. I'm not from there to tell you.
How long did you observe silence for?
44 years. Verbal, he never spoke in words. But he broke his silence in the hearts of many, many people. That's how you come to hear of him. He has started saying everything. That's what they say.
By the word.
Yeah. And the word, what is that? Anna, that is your duty every time. You have to read out.
Yeah, read it.
Down all sound and not sound.
No, not that. Under the clock.
When the
word,
yeah. When the word, my love, breaks out of the silence and speaks in your hearts, telling you who I really am, you will know that this is the real word you have been.
No, it is not there.
You have always been longing to hear.
That's how it is. So, when we break the silence in our heart, that's the breaking of the silence. Not the separation of the words.
I saw him in the film last night, Eric.
Which film was that?
64. 1964.
65. Resonated Pune Hall and
And I was intrigued by the hand movements, which were something that I had never seen before. And has there been an interpretation or reading of those particular hand movements?
There are still pictures of Baba's face, and then there are the gestures, the finger movements and all that. In 1954 October, he used that alphabet board. See that alphabet board there? Yes. He moved his fingers right across the album, and this is alphabet. But then he wanted to spread out letter by letter, and word for word for the sentence. And this film was 1965.
65.
10 years after that. So then what happened is, well, we thought, who were interpreting the board, reading the board as we call it, thought that spoke to because you know that he never gave us any meditation or concentration or anything. We didn't know the concentration can. But we are not given any meditation. So our meditation was living with him was our meditation. They are. And carrying out his deeds. So, but the most difficult lesson of our life with him was to interpret his word. And needed concentration of all our energies and thoughts and feelings and mind. It's not just that we will read out in English, but in English the words that we use would be in different languages. Marathi, Hindi, and all these Persian sometimes is used. So we have to immediately translate it. Now you really have to make it happen. But then, on the contrary, he was preparing to go to the West. And we thought, how can we go to the West now without any means of communication? There should be some means of communication. How will he communicate? How will he relate himself to human beings, There was a gap of some days, and he said, oh, that's how he communicated. Because when he gave up the ball, and he started saying that he's going to the West and all that, how did we understand? How could we understand? He's going. So, you know how his gesture would be? This is the West. Those who wear hats. Are you going West? Yeah. You're going to the West? Very soon.
So you were reading a sign language.
We were what you call conversant at the time when he used to dictate on the board. He dictated foreign last week dictated on the board. Our local language, our local informal conversations would be there with all the stock phrases that were there.
Harry?
Did you see? I don't understand what subtle thoughts are there. There's no subtle thoughts.
Well, when you're speaking, the profound statements, I don't see how you can the context.
The thing is that many years of living with him and reference to context would help us to sort out. You see, he need not spell out with his finger. I'll tell you later on how he could make signs for each letter and then create a word and all that. So he has not to do that, wait for that. The first thing, C-O-N. If the text of conversation is pertaining to confusion, you will say confusion, and the text is considered with something metaphysical or something like consciousness, so you will say, consciousness, evolves. So that's in a college thought reading or something like that. So it was common sense. Nothing to probe into the deep subtleties or in the other side. The reference to context was easy for us. What happened in 1950? Then he said, we are going to the West. How about conversation? Actually, the best, those intellectuals, those who lived around him, they were not elite, but we may not count them to be intellectuals or anything. They were ordinary people. So we were rather skeptical about it. And we wondered, but Baba, you left the board, how did you do it? I know. No. These are the stock phrases. Just as we had things like that. So, yeah, without, so the interpreter says, Baba is asking whether you ate. Yes, Baba ate. Yes, because not only hand and finger gesture, but also facial expression would be there. Yeah, the wrinkle on the eyebrow, very asking question, expression of satisfaction, of pleasure, all be there. So we have to, this was our meditation. Yeah,
Interpretation of body language.
Yeah, whole body was speaking, the whole body was very good. That's how it was. So after he left the boat, but in between also it was there. He didn't need to go every time. So then he said, well, how did you come? This boy came on sight of the Baba. You know this boy? This boy. Somebody older person, man. And for him, he used the word man. But woman is just good, like triangle. Came on sight of this like the interpreter would interpret. Yeah, it's simple. So then, after some days, weeks in the college, and we were taken, how you converse, what will happen. One day he calls me, and he tells me, I said, and he says, he's sitting by himself. That was the sign of the heart. I said, no. He tried to bring home. So Baba. He's exasperated. All patient was. So I said, he's putting it. I said, from behind. Like it. So then he waited for some time. How to bring home? Then he said, yeah, he was happy. That's how the language started. This was A now. He wanted me to say that he was teaching me the language. How could I know that he wants me to learn the language? Because these were stock signs for God or Baba or higher something high. If you were to raise something high, something high. But then the second word, we look like that. Everything like that. We don't see. We just see earlier. And you see F and J, no letters. No signs for F and J. It's left to posterity. But like this, why the ancient one didn't choose any letter? I don't know. It could have been so easy in our conversation. Never used any signs for F and J. G is there. Huh?
No one knows why.
No one knows.
So,
G is there.
when you needed an F or J, how would that?
So you just, whenever we will be stuck in the conversation with the sign, we will say, which is J, that is F. Yeah, you make us repeat that. That's how the whole language. G, H, and I is I. J is this, K is this, L is this, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, and then it's simple. So when we get into the rut of it all, it is simple. There's nothing exceptional or subtle about it. All that you need to have, one important thing is that if somebody goes close to Baba and whispers something in the ear, the interpreter is stranded. Because Baba will naturally give an answer, and we don't know, the context is not there, you follow. So then poor Baba had to repeat the whole word letter by letter, and then we come to recognize what is that. Otherwise, if somebody were to ask questions to Baba and said this, and then Baba asks what is that. Otherwise, if somebody were to ask questions to Baba and said this, and then Baba would start. So immediately, he need not spell out the whole word or spell out the whole sentence, we can simply say it. Not that there was any intercommunication or thought forces working at great speed or anything, nothing of that sort. There was no telepathy. People wonder whether he had taught us telepathy or something. Nothing of that sort. So that's how in 1956 he went with this language to the West again. It was his 12th trip. Then in 1958 was his 13th trip. Again.
And where in America did he travel?
He went to the States, where did he travel? We all know that.
New York, Washington.
New York, Washington, Morton Beach.
Primarily in the East then?
No.
Both East and West. There is a center at Morton Beach.
Yes.
Mayor's Spiritual Center. By the way, what is it that you have? Give her a complimentary copy now. Okay.
I was just thinking this was just a thought, when you were asking about how would you know what Baba would want me to do in his order, there's a little saying by Baba that just struck me, that it's kind of appropriate. Think of things that you will not hesitate to think in my presence. Speak words that you will not hesitate to speak in my presence. And do things that you will not hesitate to do in my presence. So
in short, he means you have to keep constant company. Keep him as a constant company. He said that he came in our midst, and he comes time and again in our midst as the same ancient one to give us company, to establish that link with him. That unapproachable, he makes it, that unapproachable, approachable, that which is unapproachable. His infinite love is made more tangible by him coming on this. His compassion is made more tangible by coming on this. His compassion, his love, his charity, all whatever you have, the attributes are made more tangible by him being in our midst. He comes to give us company and set a guideline. And then we leave so that we can make him a compliment. And that's how we have to live our life with him in his physical absence. Think of things that you will not hesitate to think in my presence. Speak words that you want to do, an action that you want to do. Here, I'm a true Zoroastrian. Am I? Mona Jat and all that.
The Kadmi one or the Shenshai?
I don't know that. Kadmi and Shenshai, but the Shenshai in Ayat are Kadmi, the same Shenshai. You see, Kadmi gets Shenshai. You are the ancient one.
I'm same from Faramshai.
That's good, he is from the same place. You have come from this forefathers. You know what happened? The Iranis who were there, formally they did not know, but then gradually they came to know about MeherBaba and all that. And then they came to know that MeherBaba has traveled far and wide in Persia also. So those Iranis who used to live there in Iran, who had become Baba followers or they got the awakening, Baba broke their silence in their heart. And they did, three of them, they were professors and learned people. This is a good idea. If you go, we have got the books, we have got all the things there. we'll go to each place that Baba paid a visit, let us see what's happening there. So they made a regular pilgrimage to all the places that Baba paid a visit. So when they came over here, we did not know. But time and again, sometimes they'll come. So they tell me this story. Says, you know what happened at the time when we went to these far off places in Persia? What happened? One day that all the people gathered, they are so they're so backward sometimes, in the farmers and all the area that is there. So they don't know, but seeing us, fully dressed and all, they came and started gazing at us. They were teenagers and young men and all that. So in order to distract them, we said, well, what's your name? So he was uttered surprise. He said, MeherBaba. What? He thought first that he must have heard something different. What's your name? He said, MeherBaba. Who is MeherBaba? I'm MeherBaba. Who gave you the name? My great grandfather. That's how it was. They found 6 of them during the travel with MeherBaba, but they didn't know who MeherBaba is. Yeah. 6 of them, they said. So such is your Iran. Yeah. It will go very difficult, brother. You must change now. But that is all at Meher Prasad and Meher Prabhu and Meher Prakash and all. But here there were so many Meherwans over here. It's difficult. Which Meherwan are you talking about? Shiv Shankar is mad. Shiv, both you want. Catch hold of both is Shiva and Shankar also. So this is the universal message that he gave for the World Fair in New York. So in that he brings out who he is and what he stands for.
Sari was telling me that Baba told her that every day she should pray 101 minutes. Baba has been.
Told her. That's what?
Sorry. Jai is Rani.
Rani. Dastur. But Dastur family he was
with the translation. With the translation.
With the translation.
He said Zoroastrian.
Well, I don't know whether I'm a Zoroastrian or I'm a Hindu or Muslim. Where is my Sadrang? They have all been robbed. Yeah. One day a robber came and took away
I'll make for you one if you want.
Well, why burden yourself like that?
No burden, my pleasure.
Have you got your... Yeah, it's a symbol of Zoroastrian.
Are there liberal Zoroastrians and fundamentalist Zoroastrians and conservative Zoroastrians?
If they are fundamentalists, they wouldn't have come here. They are liberal.
What does the flame stand for? Zoroastrian flame? They're always keeping the fire alive.
Well, that flame is nothing but a symbolic representation of love.
Yeah.
Purity and love. Love is pure. But all the time, Zoroaster had commanded that the flame should remain ablaze in your home. And what word he must have used, your home and all that, we don't know. But the translations that come, thousands after thousands and thousands of years, we feel that in my home, big built home and all that, and my kitchen. So we keep the fire ablaze, and even at night we keep it dabbed with ash and all that. In the morning we separate the ash and then fan it, and again it bursts into the blaze. And we feel that we are true Zoroastrians. Huh? Now you don't know.
Many of them
Then she has changed. Now you can register as non-Zoroastrian.
She's the pilot, I don't understand.
So what he wanted us, Jack asked, he wants to keep that fire of love. Love for the Lord. All the time. See that you don't defile it. Keep it pure all the time. And allow it to burn. Because what is love? Love is nothing but creating fire. That burns you totally and nullifies you. So you are not
Just advance notice. Advance notice.
Advance notice, yeah.
What about that thread?
It has the symbolic representations depending upon our every what we call nerve, our nervous system. And there are 72 threads, that have been woven into, plated into one string. And there are these 3 knots that we have to keep them. And so forth and so on. And she is a Zoroastrian also.
Erich, what's the connection between Zoroastrians and Jews?
Well, Jews have been our products. Zoroastrian products. We take pride in that you all are our children. Our generation from Zoroastrian. But you are a Hebrew or Jew?
I am no.
So what had happened, the thing is that almost similar it is. In synagogue you go, you just see what the priest does there, your rabbi does, and I have been there. It reminds me of our fire temple. It's the same thing, except that fire is not burning there. So there is that little that light and all the things. And he wears the cap and all that. It is all there. Same. All your what you call the robe is there and everything is there.
And notice that Parsi mothers are very much like Jewish mothers.
Yeah.
They make you eat things.
Yeah. No, they have got similar traits, I think.
But aren't they related through Abraham or something?
Yeah, they are. Baba would want Abraham to be named separately other than Zoroaster. Because he says, no, don't. We reminded him only. Baba, what about Abraham? Your highest of the high, there is a series of events that he is mentioning. Abraham. No, don't create confusion, Baba. It's the same as Zoroaster. That's what he told us. What had happened was, Zoroastrianism had spread far and wide. And he had to promise, just as he has promised, every time he comes, I'll come again. He has said now he's coming again after 700 years. 20 years apart. 20 minus 700, now he's coming. So, year after, century after century, you see, Zoroastrians expected him to come. And events took place, but they didn't recognize Zoroastrian government. But when Abraham's advent was there, immediately they said, Zoroaster has come again. And then he was known as Abraham a Khalil. People started confusing and all that. Baba at that time told, while he was giving us this vision, he said, don't bring Abraham in the midst of all these. Let Abraham and Zoroaster remain the same. That's how. Even now, they say that Zoroaster's advent is only about 3,000 years at the most, BC. They say so. But from our concept, it is nearing 10,000. But they are cataloging according to Abraham's time. That's how.